The deeper I dug, the more I felt the shadows creeping in. I've been a journalist for years, chasing stories that others wouldn't touch, tales buried under lies, secrets wrapped in blood. But nothing prepared me for the Sheppard massacre. It started as a whisper, a cold case from the mafia's golden age, but it pulled me into a web so dark I wasn't sure I'd make it out alive. It was supposed to be a wedding, a big, flashy affair uniting three families, Giordano, Sheppard, and Santiago. A truce to end decades of bad blood. The Giordanos were the peacemakers, holding the balance between the ruthless Sheppards and the cunning Santiagos. For one night, it looked like peace might stick. George Giordano, the old patriarch, sat at the head table, sipping wine with Roberto Sheppard and Giovanni Santiago. They laughed, clinked glasses, and toasted to a new era. The bride, Elena Giordano, glowed, her arm linked with Damien Sheppards. Damien, tall and sharp-eyed, smiled like he'd won something big. Maybe he had. Just months before, he'd forced himself on Elena, a crime that could have sparked a war. Instead, he offered marriage to make it right. Roberto even handed over chunks of Sheppard territory to sweeten the deal. George, ever the businessman, saw a chance to avoid bullets and took it. But not everyone was happy. Elena's brothers, Dominic and Mako, seethed in the shadows. Dominic, the hothead, clenched his fists every time Damien smirked. Mako, quieter but loyal, followed his older brother's lead. They didn't trust Damien. To them, this wasn't amends. It was a Sheppard power play, a snake slithering into their family. The night glittered on. Guests danced, music blared, and for a moment, the city held its breath. Elena and Damien climbed into a sleek black car, waved goodbye, and rolled off into the night, escorted by a Sheppard convoy, 10 vehicles strong, armed to the teeth. 30 minutes later, they were all dead. The attack came out of nowhere. The convoy was winding through a quiet stretch of road when gunfire erupted. Tires screeched, glass shattered, and screams cut through the dark. It was fast, brutal, and precise. Bullets tore through metal and flesh, leaving bodies slumped in seats and blood pooling on the pavement. Damien took a shot to the chest, his white tux stained red. Roberto, riding in the car behind, didn't even get his gun out before his head snapped back. One by one, the Sheppard dynasty fell. When the smoke cleared, only Elena was left. She stumbled out of the wreckage, trembling, her dress torn and splattered with her husband's blood. The attackers were gone, ghosts who'd vanished into the night. The city woke up to chaos. News spread like wildfire. The Sheppard massacre. The FBI swarmed in, desperate to stop a mafia war. Fingers pointed everywhere. Who had the muscle to pull this off? The Santiagos, with their long feud against the Sheppards, were the easy bet. Giovanni Santiago swore he was clean, but no one believed him. George Giordano wept for his daughter, swearing he'd never slaughter his own in-laws. He'd built his life on peace. Why torch it now? One thing didn't fit. The hitmen weren't local. They were outsiders, hired guns with no ties to the city. And Elena, why was she spared? The questions gnawed at me. I had to know. The massacre broke everything. The streets turned into a battlefield as rival crews scrambled for power. The FBI cracked down hard, raiding hideouts and dragging bosses into cuffs. Giovanni Santiago didn't survive it. Caught in a hail of bullets during a bust, his empire crumbled. Some whispered it was payback, that the feds pinned the massacre on him to justify the slaughter. But no proof ever surfaced. George Giordano pulled back. The man who'd once ruled the underworld with a handshake turned his back on it. He went legit. Hotels, shipping, real estate, anything to wash the blood off his name. His sons, Dominic and Mako, vanished. Some said they fled the country. Others thought they were buried somewhere quiet. The mafia era in New York faded, leaving only ghosts and rumors. 25 years passed. The case sat cold, labeled a gang war, unsolved and forgotten, until I came along. It started with the basics: old police reports, grainy photos, yellowed newspaper clippings. The FBI file was a brick wall, closed, gang-related. No one wanted to talk. I tracked down Santiago associates rotting in prison, men with life sentences and nothing to lose. They shrugged, swore their boss had no hand in it. Giovanni wasn't that stupid, one growled. He'd have bragged if he did it. Next, I found Elena. She lived upstate now, remarried, a quiet woman with sad eyes. Over coffee, she fidgeted with her ring and told me her story. "Damien seemed sorry," she said softly. "He kept saying he'd make it right. But my brothers, they never believed him." She paused, staring into her cup. "They thought he was using me. Marco said Damien wanted leverage over Dad, that the wedding was a trap. Her brothers, Dominic and Mako, they'd fed her doubts, convinced her Damien's remorse was a lie. But with Damien dead, she'd never know the truth. I just wanted peace," she whispered. "Now I don't even know what that means." I pressed her about the attack. She shook her head. "It was so fast. I heard screams, then nothing. When I opened my eyes, they were gone." Her voice cracked. "Why me? Why not me?" I left her house with more questions than answers. The next stop was George Giordano. He was old now, pushing 80, but still a legend. His office ignored my calls, my emails, my letters. I wasn't surprised. Men like him don't talk to people like me, unless they have to. I came home one night to find my apartment trashed. Drawers yanked open, papers scattered, my laptop gone. Someone didn't like me sniffing around. My gut twisted. Was it Giordano? The mayor? Yeah, the mayor. His father was the police chief back then, the one who investigated the massacre. Now the son was running for re-election, and mafia scandals didn't fit his clean image. Word on the street was Giordano bankrolled his campaign. Cozy, right? I started connecting dots. What if the chief had been dirty? Those hitmen, unknown, untraceable, could have been cops. Slugs at the scene matched police ammo, a detail buried in the chaos of retirements and resignations after the massacre. Was Santiago framed? Was Giordano an informant, trading secrets to save his skin? And Elena, spared because she was his daughter, his untouchable line? I wrote my first draft, The Blood Matrimony. It was raw, messy, and dangerous. I sent it to Giordano's office with a note: 30 days to respond or this goes public. Then I waited. Days dragged by. My phone stayed silent, but I felt eyes on me, footsteps behind me on empty streets, a car idling too long outside my building. On day 30, a text pinged from an unknown number. Give me 4 more days. 4 days? After a month? My nerves frayed. Was he stalling or sending someone to shut me up? I went dark, ditched my apartment, holed up in a cheap motel under a fake name. 4 days later, another text. You have a letter at your doorstep. My doorstep? How did he know where I was? Sweat beaded on my neck. Was this it? A sniper's bullet? A bomb? I crept back to the motel at dawn, heart pounding. A plain envelope sat on the mat. No explosion, just a note. I hope you are a Bible-believing man. Read Genesis 34. I stared at it, fury boiling over. 34 days of waiting for scripture. Was he mocking me? I grabbed a Bible from the motel drawer and flipped to Genesis 34. Dinah, assaulted by a prince. Her brothers, Simeon and Levi, plotting revenge. A massacre, clean, ruthless, unstoppable. Jacob, their father, left raging at the wreckage of his peace. My hands shook as it clicked. Dominic and Mako. They were Simeon and Levi. Damien's assault on Elena was their trigger. The wedding, their chance. They didn't care about their father's truce. They wanted the Sheppards gone. They hired outsiders, leaned on dirty cops tied to the chief, and pulled it off. But they couldn't kill Elena. She was their sister, their limit. George found out too late. His sons had betrayed him, torched his legacy. He banished them, sent them overseas to dodge the fallout. The police covered their tracks, the FBI pinned it on Santiago, and Giordano walked away, a businessman with clean hands and a broken family. Elena, the widow, was his punishment, alive but scarred, a reminder of his failure. The note wasn't a taunt, it was a confession. I sat there, the letter crumpled in my fist. The story was mine now, all of it. The mayor's father, complicit. The cops, corrupted. Dominic and Mako, the killers. Giordano, the puppet master who lost control. I could blow it wide open, topple careers, rewrite history. But the trashed apartment, the texts, the shadows, they weren't warnings anymore. They were promises. I stared at my draft. The blood matrimony. It could be my masterpiece or my gravestone. Giordano knew I had it. The mayor knew I was close. The clock was ticking, and I was out of places to hide. What's it worth? The truth or my life? I haven't decided yet. But one thing's sure, silence has a price, and I'm running out of time to pay it.
Some stories end loud, with sirens, shouts, or a slamming door. Others end quietly, like a candle burning out at dawn. But all of them leave something behind. A question, a scar, a prayer. I fold this one away, not to forget, but to remember that even in the ashes, God still speaks. Until next time, my name is Gilbert, and I am the listener.